Today, I will be focusing on part 2 of the IELTS exam, and our topic is work. Remember, the speaking exam lasts roughly 15 minutes and is split into 3 parts: the interview section, the individual long-term section, and the two-way discussion section. Be sure to take a look at our previous videos in this series for more help and information. You can find information on the exam itself and useful tips, as well as example questions and model answers. Today, we will focus on part 2 of the exam, which is the individual long-term section of the exam, and it lasts roughly 4 minutes. This part of the exam assesses your ability to speak at length on a given topic. The examiner will be looking at if you can organise your ideas coherently. In this section of the exam, you can talk about your own experiences. The marking criteria that I'll be focusing on today is fluency and coherence. So, you might be wondering what fluency and coherence is. Well, this refers to how good the candidate is at talking at the right speed and how good they are at connecting their ideas together. The candidate needs to be able to understand and follow the rules of language at a word, sentence, and text level. Remember, in the IELTS exam, you can score between a band 1 and a band 9. Here, you can see what you need to do in order to obtain a band 7. As I have mentioned in previous videos, a band 7 is referred to as a good user. Therefore, you are allowed to hesitate, repeat, and self-correct at times, but you should be able to speak at length without loss of coherence. So I will share a link to the full marking criteria in the comment section. In part 2 of the exam, the examiner gives the candidate a task card that asks the candidate to talk about a particular topic. It includes points to cover in their talk and instructs the candidate to explain one aspect of the topic. Candidates are given 1 minute to prepare their talk, and they are given a pencil and a piece of paper to make some notes. It can be tempting to create an answer that you think will sound good. But as you are required to speak at length whilst being assessed on how coherent your answer is, I suggest that you draw on your own experience. Being familiar with the events of the story will make it easier to speak coherently about them. Let's take a look at some vocabulary to help us talk about work. Job descriptions in English are usually very specific. If it is difficult to explain your own job, you can describe the company. For example, I am an administrator for a web design company is better than saying I am an office worker. So, can you change this unnatural job description into a more specific and natural one? I suggest that you pause the video here to make a note of your answers. Let's look at the new sentences. The answers are: number 1, I am an administrator for Matsushita, an international accounting firm. Number 2, my mother works for Cutco, a discount chain. Number 3, she works in sales for an academic publisher. Number 4, he works part-time for a building firm. What suggestion did you come up with? Try to share your ideas in the comments below or with your teacher. Now, let's take a look at a practice question. The question is, tell me about your dream job. You should tell me what tasks you would have to perform, where and or for which company you would do it, what would be easy and or difficult about it, and explain why it is your dream job. Remember, you have 1 minute to plan. Did you know research into what students do in the preparation time shows that only around 60% think about how to organize their ideas, and 12% think about nothing. It is important to use your planning time well to maximize your score. I suggest writing 1 or 2 words per bullet point. Then, when you are speaking, move your hand down as you cover each point. This will help to ensure that you cover all of your points. Let's take another look at the question. Remember, our question is, tell me about your dream job. You should tell me what tasks you would have to perform, where and/or for which company you would do it, what would be easy and/or difficult about it, and explain why it is your dream job. In my example, I'm going to write the following words: yoga teacher, own company, teaching, getting clients, business side, enjoyable, self-determination. Remember, you have 1 minute to prepare. So take a deep breath before you start so that you can remain calm. After your planning time ends, your 2 minutes of speaking time begins. So I could start by saying, that's an interesting question. To tell you the truth, I am quite happy with my current career and job. However, if I was to change careers, I would want something very different. I would want to set up my own yoga school. So I would be responsible for teaching lessons and the business side of things too. I would then move on to the second bullet point and I would say, my dream job would involve setting up my own company. So I would be working for myself. I think to begin with, it's realistic to expect that I would need to rent out a space in, say, a community centre to teach lessons, to build up awareness and a clientele base. After a few years, it would be amazing if I could teach out of my own studio. I would then move on to the third bullet point and say, since I currently work as a teacher and I previously have coached dance and gymnastics, I expect that the teaching side of running a yoga business would be very familiar to me. I would therefore find it relatively easy in comparison to, say, the business side of things. I expect in the beginning, anyway, I would find the business side of things, such as negotiations, getting clients, and the organization, more difficult than teaching. I would then move on to the fourth and final bullet point and say, I would say that setting up a yoga school would be my dream job, as I think it would be enjoyable to teach yoga. Also, I think that if I was able to set up my own school, I would have more control over my life, as I would be working for myself. Now you have covered all 4 bullet points, you should be able to speak for around 2 minutes. Remember, you are expected to speak for around 2 minutes, and the examiner will stop you once your 2 minutes is up. If I still had time left, I could say the following. I enjoy doing yoga and have wished to study for a yoga teaching certificate for quite a long time. It would be amazing if I was able to attain my teaching certificate and then go on to set up my own school from the ground up. I understand that this would be a lot of work and come with a lot of learning, but I think it would be worth it in the end. To practice speaking for 2 minutes, try recording your answers to see how long they are. Remember to speak at a normal pace. Don't slow down your speech to reach the 2-minute time. Now it's your turn. If you haven't already, please get a pencil and some paper and write down 4 bullet points. Your question is, tell me about a challenging job or career you know about. You should say what the job is, what tasks you have to do in this job, why this job is challenging, and explain why you picked this job. Remember, you have 1 minute to prepare, and you should write 1 or 2 words per bullet point. I suggest that you pause the video here and set a timer for 1 minute so that you can practice. When your 1 minute is up, your 2 minutes begins. Don't forget to move your hand down as you cover each bullet point, as this will help to ensure that you cover all of your points. Let's take another quick look at the question. Remember, your question is, tell me about a challenging job or career you know about. You should say what the job is, what tasks you have to do in this job, why this job is challenging, and explain why you picked this job. I suggest that you record your answers and then play them back so that when you're finished, you can check your answer against the marking criteria. Try to think about the length of your answer. Did you speak for around 2 minutes? How fluent was your answer? Was it fluent, or were you pausing often? Were you self-correcting a lot? Remember, the link for the marking criteria is in the comments. Now it is time for our tip of the day. So today's tip is, try to make the most of your planning time and use the paper and pencil. Try not to be one of the 12% of people who think about nothing during their planning time. At the beginning of your planning time, take a deep breath so you can try and plan in a relaxed